What's going on, everybody, right here in the Gators Breakdown Plus Chat?
How's it going, Dave?
Going well, going well. A little bit of a newsy day, of course. We've been talking about it in the Discord a little bit, with the Lagway maybe dealing with another injury heading into fall camp, separate from the injuries in the springtime. And, I think we'll ultimately have to wait till Billy Napier talks on Tuesday with fall camp opening up. Gators are going to have their own media day. All the coaches would be talking and all the like. So, of course, with the report coming out today, as I said, we've been kind of hinting at it and talking about it in the Gators Breakdown Plus Discord for the last few days. So, of course, it's been out there. But now with the report coming out, of course, Billy Napier, I think, was probably going to be asked about it tomorrow anyway, because, like I said, the whispers were kind of too loud at this point. But then we get the reports coming out, of course, there from both the main sites. I think Zach Alberverdi had it first there on 3, putting it out publicly about Lagway. As I said, we kind of talked about it last week, and I put in the Discord, I think it was last Friday maybe, that I had sent something out to Florida before I was willing to go public with it. I think there was still a lot of questions, because now it's coming out that it is a calf strain, but at the time last week, the initial report was an ankle. So it certainly turns out that it's not an ankle, and it is a calf injury there. So I certainly wanted to clear it through Florida first. They never got back with me after initially responding to me to kind of say, hey, we'll see what's going on. I never heard back. But then we had our own independent Gator Media Day over the weekend and all that. So I didn't really follow up too much. It was kind of busy, but then the report comes out here on Monday. So we can chat about that. Of course, I know that's going to be the main takeaway here. Some other headlines. Didi Johnson getting cleared of charges. Asa Turner still on the roster. So we'll hang out here for about 45 minutes or so, and we'll talk about these. Fall camp starting on Tuesday, or players report on Tuesday. Fall camp starts Wednesday, so a lot of storylines coming out. Also on the heels of our independent Gator Media Days. So, guys, we about here. We are about here.
What made you think that they changed their mind on Asa, Dave? Because I mean, every outlet that I heard, that said that he wasn't going to play this year for us.
Yeah, man, and I'll tell you what, I had plenty of discussions, and a lot of people I trust telling me the same thing, that earlier this year he was not on the Florida Victorious roster, so he wasn't getting NIL from Florida Victorious and all that. So I think the first thing that had to come out was if he was going to be eligible or not, and I think that maybe just got found out not that long ago that he would be eligible for a 7th year. So that was the first thing that had to happen. Maybe the thought was he wouldn't get another year. I believe this is his 7th overall, so kind of crazy when you think about it. Yeah, 7th year senior. So I think the clearing part had to be the first thing that happened, and then I guess things fell into place with Asa Turner. I mean, I remember. As just maybe as a recent as of a month ago, within a couple of months, the thought was him still not being part of the roster, being a part of the team. And look, I think who knows how. I mean, he hasn't really practiced since Miami week of last year. Didn't practice this past spring. Still, he's been working out. We know he's been working out with his team. We've seen the images back through the springtime that he was in some of the team photos. Asa Turner was there. So it's not like he's been away. But as far as, purely practicing with the team, I think that's been limited. So we'll see. I'm sure Billy Napier will be asked about that as well. But yeah, I am, Harrison, good point of bringing that up, and a little surprised that this ends up being the case with Asa Turner. So it gives Florida some depth. I don't think he's starting over a Castell, Bryce Thornton back there, but gives Florida another option. We know, you got the freshmen coming in with Hayward and Stubbs. They did go through spring practice, so certainly somebody I was a little higher on this time a year ago. Asa Turner, I thought he was a serviceable player at Washington, could be a serviceable player here at Florida, but I'd still question how much he probably plays this fall.
Well, he could at least be like an in-the-box safety, that plays close to the line of scrimmage. If anything, he can just spell, Castell or Thornton.
Yeah, I mean, and credit to Zach Alberverdi one more time, Gators Online, in his report. He does say Turner recently lifted 365 pounds on bench press, which is a team record for the safety position. So, like I said, we know he's been working out. As Zach goes on to say, which I will repeat again, we'll see what his role is. We'll ask Napier about it on Tuesday with fall camp opening up, but we'll see. Still remains to be seen how much he'll actually be involved.
So, Dave, with adding Asa, do you have any idea where that puts us at, like, this supposed 105 roster limit that we have?
I don't, and I know a lot of people get wrapped up in numbers, Corey. I personally don't. My motto has always been they work themselves out. So,
no, I get that, but we're at a much more reduced roster size now, obviously. So he's going to take, if he's on the roster, he's taking somebody else's spot.
Well, so. And we heard from him yesterday at the Independent Gator Media Day. DeBron Hampton recently on scholarship too. So it does seem like there's been some flexibility within the roster with DeBron Hampton getting the recent scholarship and now this Asa Turner news.
Oh. This seems like a really gray area then.
Yeah, it is. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But guys, let's go. I guess to back to the headline of the day and the injury on Lagway. Like I said, we've had it on the Discord for a few days now. This is kind of the first time it's been put on blast. I think from what I was being told, national media was starting to get wind of it. So I think they finally had to come out with something. More sources started talking. As I said, it dates back to last week, at least for me. I think the day was Thursday I found out that there was some kind of injury. At the time, it was an ankle. They had been seen in a boot, maybe on crutches right after it happened. But from everything I can gather, boot has since been shed. But it's the last I heard, no longer in a boot. And this thing's everywhere. I would admit this. It's a very polarizing topic, and you don't know where to believe, who to believe, how deep to believe. But I'm just kind of going back and sharing everything that kind of happened on my side. So possibly happened, I think, last Tuesday, but then was told today that this has actually been kept under wraps for a while and maybe even predate SEC media days. And that means, well, if that's the case, that means he was walking around all around Atlanta at SEC media days with this supposed calf strain. So, like I said, it's everywhere right now. I hope to get. I'm not trying to break news. I'm not trying to, be the guy with the right. I want to be the guy with the right information. I'm just saying the right information is not coming from me right now. I'm full. I'm fully fine with waiting till hopefully. Now, this is the worrisome part. Billy Napier will speak to the media on Tuesday, and it was kind of secretive all spring. We didn't really. Dive in. We didn't get to dive in a whole lot with what Billy Napier was saying about Lagway and not a whole lot of details. I think some family wishes are there of not going too deep into the injury status of DJ Lagway. I'd expect probably more of the same on Tuesday, but with this kind of leaking out like the way it did the day before, I think we'll get some more than we got in the spring, especially with the season right around the corner as well. DJ Lagway talking at SEC Media Days about being healthy, and then now this. I think there's the biggest question for me now after hearing today is maybe the timeline of it. Did it happen early last week, or did it predate SEC Media Days or right after SEC Media Days? So it's as recent as early last week, but it could be even a week older than that.
Dave.
Yep.
Do you think this is before or after they said spot the ball?
That's a good question. That was what, right the day before SEC Media Days when that came out? So like 2 weeks ago. So that's a good question. Hey, look, let's first talk about severity of it.
I love that.
Yeah. Let's talk about the severity of it. It's been talked about as well with this. It's minor, could miss, limited for a week or two, maybe miss some time, but not a whole lot of time. But this all comes on the heels of missing spring, and that's where it's not ideal. You want the quarterback that honestly, still needs to take steps. For as excited as we all are about DJ Lagway, there are steps that can be taken. I do think just naturally going into a second year, some steps will be taken. But you'd like to get that rapport with receivers. You'd like to get that rapport with the offensive line and get in sync with this offense. So is it the end of the world if he misses, or limited 1 or 2 weeks of fall camp? Probably not. I don't think that changes my outlook on DJ Lagway, changes my outlook on Florida all that much. But the closer we get to that first game, and yes, Florida can beat LIU, Florida can beat South Florida without DJ Lagway, but you don't want his first snaps. It's not ideal for his first snaps to be on the road in Baton Rouge and his first live game action since last year, no reps in the spring. Very, very limited reps in fall camp or right around the end of fall camp going into the first game. We'll hopefully we get a more clarity on the timeline here. But certainly, it's not ideal. We hope it's limited at most, but don't need this to linger on much past a week or two. And then I think you could start maybe changing and look, maybe it's already changing your outlook. I'm not there yet. If it's a week or two and he's limited, but it starts getting longer than that, then I do think you have to start questioning yourself, what does it mean for the outlook of the 2025 Gators?
The fact that we're even talking about this is making me really nervous about the season there. Like the fact that this is the lingering injuries, the not playing in spring, that now maybe even limited in fall camp, like it's just none of this adds up to a big leap for DJ this year, which is what we're all hoping for.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the worrisome part for me, I guess, with DJ, and I'm taking it away from the arm part, but the legs part. I mentioned it last week that hey, we haven't seen the full DJ Lagway yet because he was so limited last season because of the injuries and the leg issue, the hamstring issue that he was dealing with. Well, if this is another leg issue, it compounds with another injury to his lower body, are we still going, even if he's playing, even if he's out there, and look, I think even as a pocket passer, he could be a very successful quarterback, but it still limits where we may not see the full DJ Lagway. The DJ Lagway that can make a lot of plays with his legs at the same time. Whether the play breaks down, whether the staff has a great feel to call design runs and hit big plays in that regard, that may be limited once again. So I think that's, and honestly, we're not going to see that versus LIU or USF anyway. I don't think DJ Lagway needs to be taking the necessary hits against those teams. But when Florida hits that LSU and that Miami stretch and Texas A&M, you got a bye week built in there at the same time, but that's when we need to see the full DJ Lagway being able to use his legs. And is this injury now going to hamper that as well?
Well, you know what, Dave, I'm not necessarily concerned about that part of his game. I think that's inherent to exactly who he is, and when he's standing in that pocket and he feels the pressure, he's got just little twitch he can do to avoid the pressure, but these are what makes me concerned now is the progression from year 1 to year 2 in the passing game with getting the easy stuff done.
Yeah.
And if we're not repping for a whole off season, that stuff is not getting better.
And that's where the concern comes in. I don't blame anybody if with the uneasiness of this. Can there be some overreaction? Absolutely. But I don't think even the worrisome parts that I've seen out there aren't overreaction right now. I think it's fine if anybody feels that they got this uneasy pit in their stomach right now about where this thing is, and because a lot of it's secretive, and like I said, going back to spring and not really knowing a whole lot. We don't really know a whole lot now, and maybe we get some more answers on Tuesday. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame people for worrisome right now. I really don't. I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm not fully buy into this changes my outlook on Florida, but like I said, if it lingers on some more, I can get there. I'm not there yet.
Dave, what do you think happens if Harrison Bailey starts the first 4 games and goes 4-0? Do you think that they're going to shut DJ down the rest of the year?
Nah, I think he's still your best chance of getting, possibly to it. I mean, starting 4-0, I think he's still your possibly still your best chance to get to Atlanta. Still your your best chance to make a deep run in the college football playoff. And look, I know might be getting out in front of our skis a little bit, but look, especially with a 4-0 start from Harrison Bailey. But if it happens, we can chat, we can have fun with this in preseason talk. If that was to happen, great. Great for Harrison Bailey. I'm still bringing in DJ Lagway if he's ready to go, fully ready to go. He's your
Harrison Bailey.
but I still think Lagway's your chance to maybe possibly win the SEC to go make your deep playoff run.
Oh no, I totally agree. I just think this team's so talented that it's like DJ is going to take us to the ceiling, but it's like I still think in my opinion I still think we could still we could still win 6 or 7 games with Harrison Bailey, in my opinion. I mean, I don't want to see that, but I'm just saying, like, I think he's competent enough to win us some games if DJ's out 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, there's some games Florida could win with the backup. I don't think at LSU is one of them. I think.
I agree.
Yeah, even at Miami, he's probably pushing it as well. And look, it's still not clear that backup position. I mean, I like what Harrison Bailey showed in the spring, but there's some thought that Aiden Warner has made strides since last year. Now, look, if it's the same Aiden Warner as last year, absolutely not. But it's going to have to be an Aiden Warner that's taking steps.
Yeah,
Also, when you think about what's going on in the summer, it's not all about being on the field and on the practice field.
That's true.
He's learning a lot in the film room. He's learning a lot from the coaches. I mean, reps that you get over the summer, while useful, they're going to be at about half speed. And he's going to be doing it with guys that aren't trying to take his head off, which is very different than game reps. So
that's the opposite of what Shane would say. He'd said you need reps with your guys every single day.
But who are you going to trust, me or Shane Matthews?
I'm going with you, Bull.
Way to go, Bull. That was a good one. There we go. I like that. Bull, to extend that, I guess that's where I go with the receiver part of it, because you do lose Chimere Dike, you do lose Elijah Badger. Trey Wilson's coming back from injury. J. Michael Sturdivant's down in the rotation. We're excited about these freshman wide receivers. I would love for Lagway to be out there, especially after spring, be out there fall camp day one, working with those guys. So, look, I do think there's a lot to what you're saying, too. There is a mental side I think DJ Lagway needed to hit as well. If he's going to be the DJ Lagway we want him to be, there's a mental side of it, too, that he has to make strides there, too. And I think he can do that without, being on the field. But there's the other component, mainly with the wide receivers, of, the physical component of why I want him out there.
Yeah, what do you think about the underneath game? And the reason is I'm thinking of his last appearance against Tulane. That was that was his kryptonite. It's like that's why I was thinking about doing the stuff with the coaches in the film room, saying, look at this, you got to see this. This is what your problem was. In the last, Florida State did it to a lesser extent.
Yeah,
Tulane really exposed it.
I think, to your point, that is the more mental part of the game. The short part of the game is, I think, more mental, because it is about reading coverages. And, if it's not there deep, all right, well, you got to settle. You got to bring your eyes back down closer to the line of scrimmage. And then, are you ready to make the right decision in those zone coverages that teams really kind of confused you with toward the end of last year? So, yeah, I do think a lot of that is mental and can be learned away from the field. But at the same time, there's kind of going to your point, there is a live action part of this. Of the bullets are flying, you got guys coming, you got to make that decision a little bit faster. That's only going to come with the physical reps. So yeah, to me, it is a balance. I think he got all the mental reps he probably needed in spring, and we need some more physical reps starting pretty soon.
One last thing, Dave, and I don't want to monopolize, but it struck me reading some of the post today from the knowledgeable people like you and Hirsch, etc., that injuries begat injuries. Like, it started with one thing, and then maybe he overcompensated for another thing, and then it went to another. And basically, I don't know if he's his own worst enemy or if his body is his enemy right now, because it seems like these are all kind of related. It's all lower body stuff now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be. I mean, I think what you're saying probably does make some sense. Is maybe there's some overcompensation and causing the continued continue. Look, it was apparently happened during a team run. Was what was reported. So doesn't seem like that's a high stress activity that Lagway's out there with the calf injury. So like I said, I really hope they're a little more open about this and there's not so much speculation. I think that's part of it is we have to kind of speculate. And granted, don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to come out on, hey, a report comes out on Monday. Let's squash this. And okay, we can wait till Tuesday. We know there's a media availability on Tuesday. And then hopefully, there's enough out there where speculation can be kind of put to rest. Speaking of speculation, it would be on my end too. I don't know why the injuries are happening again. And it just seems to be one more. He was at SEC Media Days and with him being there, the obvious approach to everything was going to be, I'm A-OK, I'm ready to go. With him going to Atlanta, of course, that I think that's the message they were trying to send. But now this happens. I just hope we get some more answers.
I wouldn't hold my breath on getting any answers to alleviate any bit of speculation.
Josh, I'm not either. I think I could probably say I hope infinite amount of times in this episode, but I think the hope will stay hope.
Yeah, you're not going to know whether he's hurt or not until he plays or not versus Long Island.
Yeah, and here's
that's right, because we're going to be relying on very suboptimal information the whole way through camp too. They've really shut it down this year.
Yeah, the Saturday is an open practice for Florida Victorious members. Media can be there as well. Does it sound like Lagway, may not be? Sounds like Lagway may not be available for that on Saturday. So, kind of stinks. We're all excited for this season. We get an open practice under Billy Napier finally for fans to be able to attend, and our superstar quarterback may not be there. So that stings a bit. But, look, we get the videos all the time, and we'll see what media availability is for practice coming up in the coming weeks for practice. But at the same time, they're sending out videos all the time, and you can best bet if that is very limited, 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks down the road, and we're not seeing Lagway in some of these videos, and the speculation is only going to continue. And every press conference Billy Napier has from here on out is going to be, what's the status of Lagway? You know that for the foreseeable future till he's out there throwing. So does it come to a point where they're tired of answering the questions and we get some more? But this is we've just got to bide our time here. And look, there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes talk as well. Like I said, it's already kind of messy for this situation, and the longer it lingers, the probably messier it's going to get as well. So. Take a lot of things with a grain of salt, even if it comes from me, because I'm hearing things. I'll certainly share as much as I can, but it's certainly a hairy situation.
On a positive note, Dijon was acquitted.
He was. That was one of the other topics we were going to be hitting on, of course. And hey, look, I remember right after it happened, I tried to share, what it was shared from me from Florida sources is that it wasn't that big of a deal as what it sounded. Basically rolling through a stop sign to get pulled over, and a lot of things out of his control, out of his responsibility, but he's the one that gets charged. The charges have since been dropped. Let's see. The state attorney's office filed paperwork confirming that they will take no further action regarding this incident. Johnson's attorney, Tim Taylor, said, quote, "We have worked closely with prosecutors on this for the past few months and are pleased with their diligence and professionalism. Dijon and his family are happy to have this matter behind them. Dijon is focused on his academic and football commitments and is excited for the start of the football season." So he initially faced 4 charges when arrested: second-degree felony for possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, third-degree felony for possession of a controlled substance, misdemeanor resisting an officer without violence, misdemeanor possession of cannabis less than 20 grams. So there we go. Good news. Certainly is going to find himself in a battle with Cormani McClain for that cornerback 2 spot. That's good news for everybody involved. Get some depth at that cornerback spot. It does sound like it's going to be a true battle with the steps that that Cormani was able to take in the spring with a lot of first-team reps. So certainly, Devin Moore, cornerback 1, cornerback 2 might be a really, really good battle between Dijon Johnson and Cormani McClain. It could be a cornerback 2A and 2B. Whoever has the better week of practice gets to start that week. That's the way I can see it playing out a good bit, but certainly with Dijon Johnson and this behind him now, it is full-fledged, full steam ahead to getting fall camp started and getting into that battle with Cormani McClain.
Loser wins the right to sub for Devin Moore.
Hey, that's another thing. We'll see what happens with Devin Moore, but a good, healthy competition between those two could also mean, hey, starting if Devin Moore can't stay healthy.
I've been hearing a lot of really good things about Cormani though. I've been seeing Nick put out a bunch of stuff and a bunch of other reporters put out that Cormani's really doing well.
Yeah, I've heard it too. I don't think it's
lip
lip service.
Cormani.
Yeah, I don't think it's lip service for the Cormani hype. Certainly, I hope it is true. We see him out there playing a lot. He's certainly put in the work. You can see him putting in the work. He does look different. He has transformed that body a bit, and good for him for doing all the off-field things that he needed to do to get acclimated within the program, within the team, and earn a lot of trust. And then going through spring and earning those number 1 reps, and I think does squarely, truthfully find himself in a battle coming up with Didi Johnson coming up in fall camp.
Proud of that kid.
When you say transform, do you mean transform as much as Mr. Webb, or not quite that much?
For him, I think, yeah, because I think he had a long way to go. So I do think transform. But boy, yeah, I know what you're shouting out there. Trayon Webb was at our Independent Gator Media Day, and I'm telling you, as soon as he walked in, he was a little bit of a distance from us, and I was like, oh, wow, okay, Trayon. He jacked up a little bit. Then he walks right in front of us and joins us on the set, and I'm like, man. And like he said he was eating weights. The whole team is eating weights, and you can certainly tell that you can see the transformation in a lot of the bodies. But Trayon Webb was just up close. I was like, okay. I mean, you can see the work being put in that regard. And look, I personally am not one of those that cover the team that gets caught up in the strength and conditioning and the before and after photos and all that. Don't get me wrong. I know the importance of it. It does go a long way, but I do think a lot of that stuff is hard to quantify, and I do think it gets dove into a little bit too much. A team can look really good, and I remember hyping up all that stuff in the off seasons before, and it don't mean a lick of anything. But you can see it. You really can see the body difference, the muscle mass, the weight going down for players where it needs to go down, the muscle coming up in the places that it needs to come up. And I hope it makes a difference on the field. Guys got to stay healthy. I know that's a big thing that's kind of come out with the Lagway stuff. And the amount of injuries Florida had last year is, all right, strength and conditioning, for transforming bodies seems to be A-okay. What about the injury side of it? But yeah, Bull, going to your point, man, I do like a lot of the way these players look.
Yeah, I was at the Gator Media Day or whatever. I was thinking, I was like, man, who's those 2 dads that just walked in? Because they look like 35-year-old men, because they were. I didn't expect that out of them because they didn't look like that when they come in here.
And everybody who knows me, if you've seen me in person, I am not the biggest guy. I'm a pretty scrawny guy, and I'm sitting right there next to him. So yeah, it's even more eye-opening there. And it probably makes them look a little bit bigger. So I am not the best side-by-side comparison when it comes to those things, but certainly, yeah, you can see it.
You're too humble, Dave.
He eclipsed you when he walked by.
I will say Dave's a lot taller than Soder. I'll say that, seeing him in person.
There was some jokes made about that yesterday.
I'm sure.
But hey, that was a good event. I'm glad some of you got to check it out. I'm glad some of you got to make it. I know. First of all, if you were there,
but no shower in that, okay?
If you were there, big thank you because it was certainly hot.
Okay.
Hey, Gator, put your mic on mute.
Trooper family won.
Gator.
It was a close one. No, he won.
All right. Server mute for a second. Okay, there we go.
I watched your feed, Dave.
Yeah.
That was seemed like a pretty cool event, but everybody was like dripping with sweat.
It was, like I said, if you were there, Harrison was there in person there, and yeah, certainly like one of the hottest days in Florida. Certainly the hottest day of the year. Tampa, the city hits 100 degrees for the first time.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, so that's how hot it was in the state of Florida. We're shaded for the most part, but certainly, it only saved you a little bit. But it was a good event. It was our first time. We had some kinks to figure out to begin with at the very beginning of it, but I thought it went well. We'll take all the feedback and do it even better next year. First of all, if it's in July, it will be indoors. We know that. That is the first lesson pretty quickly. And look, we know we're from Florida. It's not a huge surprise, but it was pretty brutal. And we had a good crowd that showed up. So, asking 70, 80 people to sit there and drip sweat for a couple hours, probably not the best thing. It's different when you're in the stadium and watching a football team, but watching a bunch of media guys, maybe not the best way to do it. But I'm glad the feedback's been good. Glad everybody. I'll be putting out content, throughout the week. Put out the running back interview today, if you guys missed that. But the whole thing's still up right now on all of our channels: Gators Breakdown, High Top Sports, Stadium and Gale. But certainly a good time. Glad we could all come together and do another little panel discussion, go back and forth with some of the players we had. Too bad, some of the players didn't get to make it. No fault of their own. It's kind of their last final free weekend. Camp starts Tuesday, so we did have some guys who said they would be there, but then they kind of forgot it was going to be their last free weekend before camp started. So maybe we changed the timeline a little bit too to help the players out and help ourselves out in that regard. But hearing from Trayon Webb and Jacoby Jackson in the running back room, DeBron Hampton and his journey of getting a scholarship, and Jaden Woods being this exciting freshman. Big thanks to those guys for showing up and really kind of opening up a bit from chances we haven't got to hear from them before. So it was a fun event. We'll definitely do it again. We'll take all the lessons learned and do it bigger next time.
Yeah, shout out to DeBron Hampton. He seems like a really, 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 good kid. Like, he seems like he comes from a good family. Like, he just seems like I don't want to say he's a sweet kid because he's a football player, but it's like he just seemed like a good kid. Yeah,
for sure. Credit to him for putting all the work in to earn that scholarship. DJ Lagway's teammate there in high school made the track with Lagway to come to Florida, and then earns himself a scholarship. So in that wide receiver room, we know how hard it would be to climb up the depth chart there. So if he does that there, he put in a ton of work to earn some reps. And look, he even said, I want to contribute on special teams as well. So maybe in the return game as a gunner as well. But certainly seems to be a guy who's going to put his head down and do the work.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Gator, I'm going to try to help you again. Can you put your mic on mute?
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I was going to say, talk about a place we have an embarrassment of riches. When
Man.
I look at Josh Braun and Jacoby Jackson, I'm like, I don't know who's better. Everybody says Braun, but I'm like, I don't know. I really don't. They're both great, and we got good guys behind them like Trayon.
I mean, that's going to be a great another. We talked about the cornerback battle, cornerback 1 and 2. But boy, you're right. That running back 3 spot. I mean, you got Jaden Ball and Jacoby Jackson. I think those guys 1A, 1B in a lot of ways. Trayon Webb, Katie Daniels probably fighting for that 3rd spot. That's going to be, I think, one of the most intense battles of spring camp. Is that running back 3. And you hope, I mean, Florida's deep there. We all know the transfer portal's a thing. You hope you can spread the carries out to make everybody happy, but you got to win ball games first. And look, this is Jaden Ball's only 2nd year. He's coming back next year. Jacoby Jackson, this is his final go around, so that may open up a spot. And for a guy like Trayon Webb, can he assert himself to maybe get some draft love or to maybe take that next step? But there's a scenario where everybody returns but Jacoby Jackson next year. And if that's the case, what do your young players then look at as far as playing time and the like? So I think there's a lot of interesting storylines for running back because of all the depth that you have there.
Bull, you feeling okay, man? You're being positive about the football team. Are you feeling all right tonight?
Either that or I've given up all hope. No, it's I don't know what's going to happen. I was asked yesterday what I thought the results would be, and I just say, is Billy Napier still our head coach? So I think we got a lot of talent, but I can't stop thinking about the middle eight. I can't stop thinking about special teams decision. I can't stop thinking about we just got an interception, so for sure we're going to hand the ball off first play. So it's those kind of things that I'm like, I wish we could get past that and get a little more reliable from sidelines.
I would just like us not to have the wrong number of people on the field.
Yeah, you hope, and look, please do not take this the wrong way. Please don't. I'm not in no way, shape, or form putting Billy Napier and Kirby Smart's stratosphere. But there was a lot of questions of Kirby Smart, the coach, early on in his career. And a lot of the mess-ups that he had until he got his players, until he got his team in there. And, the talent level was taken to another level. Now, Florida doesn't have that talent level either, but the talent level is better. So do you get away from some of those mistakes because now you have the talent to go along with? Is there a little bit more grace? Is it, the team is better, so it leaves you a little more room for errors like that? Hopefully not, because there's going to be a lot of close games this year, and you're not going to be able to, in certain situations, have mistakes like that. But I think there is something to be said, too, for raising the talent and the team being better and things like that mysteriously, in air quotes, just kind of work themselves out.
This is his 8th season as head coach and play caller overall.
That's a good point.
At this point, I don't have any sympathy for just boneheaded game plan decisions. But granted, I still compare way more to Dabo than to Kirby because he just kind of fits that Dabo mold to me. But that's just picking at words.
I'd say I can see that, but I mean, Napier's still more involved than Dabo is as far as a game day coach.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
But at the same time,
I would love him to be Dabo and hire an offensive coordinator and just turn into that role. But that's another argument there.
I mean, that was a discussion we had on the panel at the Independent Gator Media Day. There is some talk that there might be some more handing off to Russ. And we'll see where it goes. But,
I'd like to hand off somebody besides Russ.
But as Nick Delatorre, you said, and kind of how I lean toward as well is, all right, you got the keys to a Lamborghini, and you're now going to turn it over to somebody else? Does that really make any sense? If, I got the fastest car in the world now, but I'm going to let somebody else drive it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, but the car's got a flat tire right now.
That's true.
Hey, Ryan Day didn't want a natty.
That's true. That is true. But
Ryan Day,
Chip Kelly's not in our press box either.
That's why I don't want Russ doing it.
Does Steve Spurrier Jr. have any influence on this offense this year?
I forgot where I saw it. Yeah, I forgot where I saw it. And somebody had said something where I don't know if he was on a show or somebody just knows him or whatever. It said something about he
was on Shane, and he said if we have the right matchup, we'll go 4 wide.
Okay. Yep. I mean, words can mean one thing, and we'll see what we see in the fall.
Hey, a real question is, what is Kurt Napier's role on the staff?
I don't know if he really has a role, does he?
Hype man? I don't know.
Hype man, yeah. I like old Kurt.
I don't know. I'm just joking around.
I want to know what's the right matchup in Napier's mind to go 4 wide. Maybe if everybody's way back or something.
10 in the box.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. To me, we talked about that run game.
Influence.
Yeah.
There's some air raid stuff, just like kind of what Callaway does.
We talked about that run game earlier, and as we're talking about the offense, and look, if we got a Lagway and he's out there, he's slinging the ball, like, we've hit on this topic a little bit, but man, I mean, Florida should really be set up to be a pretty balanced offense and really should have some success. Like, if Lagway's hitting those downfield throws, and teams really got to worry about that, man, it really should help this offensive line in this running game. I mean, because if teams are not going to be able to stack the box if they're deathly afraid of Lagway hitting them over the top. I think there's the potential for this offense to really be special in that regard. And to me, it's going to take both. If we don't need a 2020 offense where you can pass with the best of them, but even in a light box, you still can't run the ball. But I don't get that feeling from this because of this offense and the way they've been able to run the ball and have success in developing offensive linemen and running backs in that regard. So if Lagway's full okay, ready to go, and he's hitting those downfield throws, I really think this run game shines, and it's a pretty balanced offense.
How deep are we on the O-line?
The what?
How deep are we on the O-line? Like I've seen the starting five, and I heard very positive things.
Yeah.
What does our depth there look like?
Cam Waite's coming back. What does that mean to you? I question it as well. He's been there a long time, but has trouble staying healthy. We've seen some flashes. Can he put it together for a year? They really, really like what they're getting from Roderick Kearney, and pushing Damian. I think Damian George gets the starting spot at right guard, but they really, really like what they have seen in Kearney at that right guard spot. So I would not be surprised in the least to see him getting a lot of reps there. Bryce Lovett at right tackle, you mentioned, as a starter, they love what they have there as him stepping in as a first year full-time starter there. Fletcher Westphal, I think they feel pretty good about him backing up at a tackle spot, maybe there for Austin Barber at left tackle. But I think they feel pretty. I think there's going to be a good battle at center with Jason Zanamella, behind Jake Slaughter.
Najee Harris too.
Najee Harris at left guard. I think they probably feel pretty good with three behind the starters. And then, we'll see where fall camp goes in developing more guys.
I will say Damian George is like one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen. That is a huge man.
Yeah, and we were talking to the running backs yesterday at the media day, and I think it was Jacoby Jackson who said it. He says, "Man, he goes, I love running behind Damian George." he said both the guards, but he mentioned Damian George first, and it was just like, yeah, that's the guy I like running behind.
I remember that. I was like, wow, knocked me over with a feather.
and I did think Damian George was a pretty good run blocker last year. I mean, I do remember that standing out last year. So, I think he's found a home.
I will say Damian George gets a lot of... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think this might be the deepest I've felt in the offensive line group, like, in a very long time. Like, even the depth, like, there was a lot of criticism of Rob Sale, and he's been the only consistent guy here, and they've recruited some guys and built it, and I feel like we have depth there finally for the first time since I can't remember, probably 2000s.
Yeah, I'll let Chach chime in here with what he's about to say, but I do remember now reading it. I don't want to steal Zach Aberverdy's work from Gators Online, but on this note, I won't share when he shared these notes from heading into fall camp. Sources said the staff feels good about the continuity on the offensive line. The coaches are also high on the backup O-line and has the trust to play 9 linemen with the number 2 center still be determined in camp. So, there we go.
Well, that may if somebody goes down, we should be okay then, right?
According to that.
I think what Chach was going to say was that Damian George gets a bad rap from his first year.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Aiden Warner is going to really appreciate this line.
Shut your mouth.
He appreciated it for the 3 seconds it took the hand off to Jaden Ball. I hope to never see him throw another pass.
Yeah, we know Florida's going to reach that potential. It's going to, Lagway's going to play, I think, a lot of games. You know, it's like I said, I think there's a few you could probably get away with if he's not out there, but there ain't many with this schedule.
Who do you think was 9? So Kearney, Westfall, and then
Kearney-
Waits.
Yeah, Kearney,
Was
Westfall,
9 Manual
Fates.
before he got hurt?
Could have been.
I think Manuel's locked up. He ain't hurt.
It was man, last I heard
that's
too.
right.
Most people thought that's probably going to get dropped too, though. Last I heard, and it wasn't that serious either. So, yeah, I guess
I
that,
heard
would,
he was
that,
good.
that would be your 9 there.
Now, basically, the drug charge, if the drugs charge is dropped, then the gun charge is nullified. So, yeah, should be just like Dijon.
Yeah, I figured they were probably pretty similar situations.
Dave, I don't know if you've already talked about it. I don't mean to jump from the offensive line too abruptly, but have you already spoken about that 4-game stretch? Not the first 2, but LSU, Miami, Texas A&M. What you think we're going to do in that? Because that's, in my opinion, that's the season.
That's a good point. I can see that being the season. This will be the last thing we hit on tonight, guys. Man, I got a good feeling with Texas at home for some reason. I think Texas is better than Florida. But them coming to the Swamp, and don't get me wrong, I know we've seen it go both ways. You had those big wins, LSU and Ole Miss last year, but then we saw the crap fest that were Miami and Texas A&M in the Swamp as well last year. So, but, you know, I certainly feel better about that game being at home. This far away, I got a good feeling about that game. Whatever, you know, LSU at night, yeah, that worries me. Just cause of it, I think Florida's just every bit as good as LSU is. Is the difference just in being at home? Miami, I got that chalked up as a win for Florida. That road trip to Texas A&M does worry me too. Look, I put it out there. I put it out there today. So I'm glad you put it out there, Bull, and asked this question because I put the stat out there just a second ago, or a little while ago. Look, 3 of those games are on the road. At LSU, at Miami, at Texas A&M. Billy Napier has yet to beat a team that finishes with a winning record on the road.
I've got us 3-1.
So we've got to change the fortunes on the road. You know, year 1 it was at A&M. He got that road win
With DJ or not?
No, it doesn't matter. No, I mean I'm just saying for this conversation right now. You know, at A&M was a road win for Billy Napier. They didn't finish the season with a winning record. Year 2, the only road win was at South Carolina. They didn't finish the season with a winning record. Last year at FSU, of course, they didn't finish the season with a winning record. There hasn't been many road wins to begin with.
Hey, we beat Mississippi State on the road. I didn't think we would.
Yeah.
That is a horrendous stat. Dave.
Yeah, it
You
is.
just made me depressed.
But so if we're talking about this magical season that a lot of us think we can have, you've got to change the fortunes on the road first and foremost.
Oh, yeah. You're flipping that.
Yeah,
That's what we're banking
You're
on.
you're flipping
absolutely.
a stat that has gone completely in the other direction so far.
Yeah, I see us losing to Texas A&M.
Realistically, you can only end with 3 losses and make it to the playoffs, right? I mean, that's max. That's best case scenario.
Yeah. More than that, more than that, you're not making it. Look, even then it gets questionable. But with Florida's schedule, I would predict you probably make it in, but it is not a for sure thing. And then you look at the road games. We mentioned that, so we mentioned those 3, and then you got one more at Ole Miss. And the reason I pointed those 4 out was because Miami, or at LSU, at Miami, at Texas A&M, at Ole Miss. All 4 of those teams, I would say, probably end the season with a winning record. So that's cool. 2 of those are going to have to be your first 2, I think, to have a record in the end to make the playoff.
That's why I think we go 2-2. I think we're going to beat LSU. I think we're going to beat Miami, but I don't know that we're going to beat either of the teams from Texas. Texas, just because they have
Texas is at home.
Deep. It's so deep.
With or without DJ. With or without DJ.
I don't think it's to beat anybody without DJ.
I agree. I think we go 0-4 without DJ.
Not even just because of his talent. His talent is out of this world, but the team, at least last year, they folded to nothing when DJ didn't play.
And Mertz.
I mean, this is what I was saying earlier.
I forgot Mertz even played last year.
This is exactly what I was saying earlier in the chat. If DJ is out for any extended amount of time this season, genuinely, I'm putting us at a 3.5 win line. Period.
But
and frankly, I'd probably take 3 wins.
I'm at 4.5. I'm at 4.5. I think we have 4 teams on the schedule. We can just run the ball, dominate. This roster is that good.
I don't think so, but I like your optimism.
This offensive line, this running backs, you can't argue. Like, come on.
I mean, just say he doesn't play a game. All right, LIU, USF should be wins. Kentucky should be a win. Mississippi State should be.
Lagway don't play a game.
Yeah.
You lose.
I'm sorry,
you beat
Kentucky,
LIU. You beat USF.
State are not guarantees with Warner throwing the ball. I'm sorry, they're just not.
I think those teams are awful.
Mississippi State and Kentucky, and then the 2 non-conference games.
The only other option is FSU. That's it. That's the only other option. Everything else is a loss.
The home games against those bad teams, I'll take. At Kentucky, I don't think so.
So that's 4 wins. Then,
I just think Kentucky. I just think Kentucky's terrible this year. I don't think it matters.
No, they're not good. They're not good.
I'm for not playing DJ at Kentucky because Kentucky historically against Florida has been a dirty team. We have lost more quarterbacks, I think, against Kentucky than against anybody else.
Hey, we got trash.
I don't count a game against Kentucky as a win ever. They have our number. It's just the way it is. But I agree.
I agree.
This is how far we've fallen.
I agree to a point. I agree to a point on that, but that's just how bad that's just how down I am on this year's Kentucky team. I just think they're terrible.
Mark Stoops beats Florida to save his job.
It is late enough in the year.
I think
I will say I said I picked 3 and 1. My loss was to LSU. I didn't get that out.
Okay.
I think regardless, you're looking at max 4 to 5 wins max with Warner at quarterback. So we need DJ to be fine. So I did some really important studying over the last few weeks, and my opinion is that based on CFB 26, which is where I'm getting all of my factual statements from, LSU is going to be the hardest game this year.
Well, based on CFB 26, be glad we don't play Duke.
Well, I think what it benefits us against LSU is that there are a bunch of transfers and we're playing them the 3rd game of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when was the last time we beat LSU in LSU?
That game was insanely hard in CFB 26. That was the one. Georgia, cakewalk, no problem.
McElwain year, right?
Baton Rouge,
yeah, it was the goal line stand.
Yeah.
That's my main thing is we just don't ever beat them at home.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to matter how good a team we have or what. We just can't figure it out. I mean, we lost to them, and the 2021 game was the last one where I felt like we were kind of on equal footing.
Yeah.
I mean, because we were terrible, but we hadn't totally fallen off the wagon by that point, and LSU was atrocious that year.
Yeah.
We didn't totally.
This has become one of my most famous or favorite rivalries with this LSU thing, especially with the hurricane stuff and all that. I'm not going to mention like footwear or anything like that, but it's been the most contentious, with the Tebow cell phone stuff and all. It goes way back. This is one of the best ones.
And somebody said something about Stoops being on the hot seat. I don't agree. I think with the new revenue sharing, you can only have so much for football, and Kentucky's going to pivot to basketball. They're going to say, as long as you have close to a winning
Oh
record,
no, they did.
you're good.
They're
Isn't
only
that what we did?
They're only giving Stoops 50% of the rev share. The other 50% is going to basketball.
I don't even know how
I don't
much.
think
I don't even know how much he wants to be there much anymore. Anyway,
Mark Stoops is going up as Iowa's coach in the next year or so, probably.
that's what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, Ivory Stoop wants that basically.
Oh, all right, guys. Hey, that was a good chat. That was a good chat. Glad. I know it was short notice, but all the news that kind of came out today, I was like, let's do it chat style. Let's do it chat style. So glad on short notice you guys were able to make it happen.
Thanks, Dave. And I'm glad to see it looks like you and Silk buried the hatchet and everything's copacetic.
Yep, for sure, man. We're on good terms. All that stuff behind us now. We all move forward and put out some good content together, and looking forward to it. So.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, guys.
It's a good show. Good show this weekend and a good show tonight.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.